both stages off until about T-minus 2 minutes to keep the propellants as cold and therefore as dense as possible. That way we can fit as much propellant onto the vehicle to loft the satellite this afternoon. Around the T-minus 7-minute mark, we began our engine chill procedure. The propellants are much colder than the engines, and so it's important to get the engines to the correct temperature by slowly flowing propellant through them before ignition. Liquid oxygen in particular is so much colder that it would turn into a gas upon first contact, which would be a pretty hard start for the engine. The next major activities, the strong back, that's the white structure right next to Falcon 9 there, will open and slightly retract away from the rocket. It will fully recline as soon as Falcon 9 leaves the pad. It's looking pretty healthy, entirely healthy, and we're excited to get that into its geostationary transfer orbit. The range is currently go, and the weather is also still looking good enough for us to launch today. At this point, we're just outside of T-minus 3 minutes, so let's listen in to the last few minutes of terminal count.
Stage 1, last load complete. Bleed verification. Strong back lower complete, 88.5 degrees. Stage 2, dump manifold secured. Stage 2, lux load complete. Falcon 9 is on internal power. Gas closeouts is running. M1D fuel bleed complete.
Countdown, we've had a launch abort sequence start.
It looks like just after Falcon 9 entered startup mode, it threw an abort. We're currently looking into a little more details to see if we're able to continue today's mission. If not, we'll be using our backup day tomorrow at about the same time. If you're just joining us, it appears we had an abort thrown by the vehicle just after it entered startup mode. These abort sequences are important to make sure that the Falcon 9 is in its best shape in time for any launch. So we're much happier to take those aborts beforehand rather than continue when there's any risk to the vehicle. If we have to go tomorrow, we'll be checking to see exactly what was happening through the abort today. The backup launch window opens tomorrow at 4:14 p.m. Eastern Time, or 8:14 Universal Coordinated Time, and closes at 6:21 p.m. Doing the data to see if we're able to determine the cause of that abort. The launch director announced that the vehicle is safe and gave the okay for payload to go back to external power. So we're still reviewing those telemetry logs. We're not yet scrubbed for the day. We're working to bring that information as quickly as possible. If we're able to launch today, or if we are not able to launch today, excuse me, then our backup window is at about the same time tomorrow at 4:14 p.m. Eastern Time, closing at 6:21 p.m. Eastern Time. We are still continuing to look at the data to determine if we can understand the cause of this afternoon's abort. Aborts are part of the standard process. Again, it's good to make sure that the Falcon 9 is completely ready to go, both the ground systems and the vehicle systems as well. And double checking those is vastly preferable to having any sort of a problem during flight. There's still a chance that we may be able to launch today. working to see if that's going to be possible. Otherwise, we'll aim for a backup launch window tomorrow afternoon. If you're just joining us, we had an abort at the very final stages of countdown within 1 minute for a launch time of 5:47 p.m. Eastern Time. Falcon 9 threw the abort, and they're part of the standard process. We're still continuing to look at the data to conclude even if it was a ground problem or a vehicle problem. Because at T-1 minutes, the flight computers go into startup mode. The process of understanding that abort is a little more difficult than at other times in the countdown. So we're reviewing those telemetry logs to make sure that we're understanding it. There is still a chance that we can make it work for today's window, and we're currently exploring if that's a possibility. If you're just joining us, you can see that it's a T-minus 15-minute clock at the moment in a a yellow state, which means we're in a hold state. We threw an abort at just inside of T-minus 1 minute as Falcon 9 had taken control of the countdown. Those aborts are part of the standard process to make sure that everything is working just as we're expecting. Much better to have those sorts of signals on the ground rather than any time during ascent. A preliminary review, however, and have determined that the vehicle and payload are in good health, and we'll be aiming to launch tomorrow during our backup launch window at 4:14 p.m. Eastern Time, closing at 6:21 p.m. Eastern Time. At this point, we'll conclude the webcast. Thank you again for joining us. And we hope to see you for tomorrow's launch attempt at, again, 4:14 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you again.